That's what we're listening to right now. Can you hear it? J.J. Johnson and Kai Winding. Winding. I don't know. Good record. I like it. I picked that up here a couple weeks ago with a thrift store haul, a bunch of jazz. So it's good stuff. So I have a few records to show. Just some recent pickups that I made. Some of them I bought at a record store. Some of them I bought at a thrift store. And some of them I ordered brand new. So let's get right to it. This is going to be a jazz stack. So if you don't like jazz, you can find something better over there. But hey, this is going to be good jazz. So if you're not really sure about jazz, or you want an idea of some jazz to listen to, hey, stick around. You might like it. Let's just start up. This is a new one I bought. It's not the fancy earlier pressing, and it's actually on Wax Time. I've never even heard of Wax Time, but they got a bunch of new releases, and it was cheap. It was like 12 bucks. No, it was $11 with shipping. And that's Claire. Monk's Dream. Man, this is a great album. Jazz classic, audiophile grade. What does that mean? That just means they claim it's really good. 180 grand, you know, audiophile. But anyway, this is an awesome album. I mean, if you don't have this one, buy it. I mean, go out and even get the Wax Time pressing for 10 bucks, 12 bucks, whatever. This is an awesome jazz album to listen to. I have never listened to the original of this, and I kind of have a question for anybody who's listened to this particular version. This is a stereo version. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, stereo version. There's something odd about one song on here. For those of you that know this album, on side A, the second song, Body and Soul, which I'm assuming is a piano solo. Not multiple pianos, but it's just a piano solo. And on my setup, I actually pulled my stereo out and looked at it to see if I had the cables hooked up wrong or something. It's like, there's something odd about the way that this was mixed on here. And I don't know if it's like that on other versions of this or not. But I don't have the most high-end stereo, but I have one. It sounds really good, and everyone that I have over here listen to it, you know, can't believe I'm getting the sound what I have out of my budget system here. But it images very well. So the rest of this album, you'd think that you're just sitting there they were playing right here. You got your piano over here, the drums over here, the bass back here, and the saxophone right in this area, and you can just imagine that they're there. On that second song, it sounds like there's a 400-foot piano in front of you, and the bass registers for the most part over here, but kind of on both. But then the high notes are like, you know, all over the place. It's like going back and forth. I don't know what they were doing with the stereo mix on this, but it just sounds weird. But it's still good. So I just put it on mono. I can switch it to mono, and it sounds much better to me that way. But that's a good album. If you don't have this, go out and buy it. You can get the new one. I mean, you know, if you wanted to get into some jazz, that'd be a good one to listen to. I mean, there's not a bad song on there. I really like it. So that's one. And I just got some. These are some like thrift store finds of some decent jazz. This one. This is like a what do they call it? Columbia Special Products Group. They're top secret sales gimmicky group in Columbia. So this is Zenith on it. So this probably they're trying to promote their all-in-one turntable, 8-track cassette blender countertop console for listening to these awesome records. But anyway, this was like 25 cents. I got it at one of our local thrift stores here. But it's actually, look at who's got this. Got David Brubeck, Duke Ellington, Thelonious Monk on there, Paul Winter, Miles Davis. I mean, they're kind of like some of that corny songs, but I mean, it's really good. It's a good jazz album. It's got a little bit of everybody, a little taste of everything out there on Zenith, and the record itself is in really good shape. I mean, I just see a couple, just a real tiny little rubs, but that's it. You know, so many of these records just come just shoved in no inner sleeve or anything. That's just how it was. But for the price I paid, it's really good. Good jazz album just to sit and listen to. And it's got a little bit of everybody on it, so. And then I picked up Bill Black's combo. Now, I have some other Bill Black's combo, and you know, some of them I just kind of like, I don't know. This album is really good. Saxy jazz. You know, it's got, you know, some covers of popular songs on there, but, you know, ones that you see on so many, like White Silver Sands, Frankie and Johnny, Accentuate the Positive, Cyclone Bob, Tuxedo Junction, you know, the same songs you hear so many other groups play, but this is really good. I like this. Bill Black's combo. I mean, a lot of their stuff is almost like Dixieland type, which, you know, I do like Dixieland, but I like the real Dixieland groups, not these. I consider this like wannabe Dixieland. But this is a really good, just a really good jazz record. I mean, you can find this all over the place, so you probably see that in a thrift store. If you see it, grab it. It's definitely worth, you know, a few bucks or so. Let's see here. Before, I'm going to irritate people here tonight, so, but that's okay. I broke a cardinal rule of the VC, and I'll get to that here a little bit later. But I stopped by my local record store here, and it's like, you know, they're like new sections, like a little shelf, but most of what they have is used there, which is, you know, they got a pretty good section. They got a nice big jazz section, but I'm not sure who decides what goes in the jazz section or not, because there's some stuff in that jazz section, which I might as well pull that out. I'll show you here. That I don't consider jazz at all, but they had some other ones in here I picked up. They're pretty cheap. This is like Lester Young story volume 4, which makes me want to go find other volumes of this, if you know, 1, 2, and 3. This is $5. It's really good. I like Lester Young. This is only my second Lester Young. I have another one I'll show you here next, but it's a nice little gatefold. You know, it's got quite a few songs on here. Sunny Side of the Street, Upright Organ Blues, Who, Jasmine Blues, Song of the Islands, Dickie's Dream, Apple Jump, Left My Baby, Riff Interlude. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm a big Lester Young fan. I like from what I've heard so far, so. It's a good album for $5. This is a promo copy too, by the way. White label. Oh, what's going on here? White label, gold stamp on the back. Lester Young. This is another good one to pick up. I like it. $5. I mean, you can't beat that. Get some good jazz. Now, this I just bought on a whim, and this is what introduced me to Lester Young. I was at a record store, and I had like 10 minutes. I was like on my way to pick up the kid from school, and I had just a few minutes, and I was just whipping through, just seeing if something caught my eye. And I got Lester Young, Presley's Blue. It's gatefold. Oh, nice picture there. Now this, I didn't realize it at the time, but this is a live album, and I would have known it if I would have opened it up and read it, but like I said, I was in a hurry, so I just grabbed it. When I got home, it's just on the black label. It's on Parker Records, CP Parker Records. When I got home and I put it on, the first thing I was like, oh, it's alive. And not only is it live, it's like a noisy bar, drink glasses clinking, and people. I mean, the audience is pretty loud in here. And I thought, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna have to let this one go. And I just, dropped the needle around a little bit, and it was the whole thing was like that. I was like, I made a mistake. And then, it wasn't that much money. I think it was like, this is like $7, so it wasn't that much money. But then, but I was also in like a really hurried, that when I was listening to this too, it's just one of those days where, there's just some days that, no matter what you listen to, it's just probably not going to sound good just because your mood or you got things to do, other things on your mind, and you're not really focused on what you're listening to. So a few days later, I went back to this record and I put it on. It was in the evening. And, I just had a beer and I was just sitting down. Like, what am I going to listen to? And I pulled this out and put it on. And I just started listening to it. I just said, okay, I'm just going to go through the whole thing and see if I like it. And my dog just walked by and hit the tripod. So I just listened to the whole thing for me, and within like just a couple minutes in, the noise from the crowd just faded away. Actually, didn't fade away. It just more like felt like that I'm in the room with them, enjoying this great show that Lester Young and this group is putting on. And this right now is like one of my favorite jazz albums. I mean, I really like this. So if I just want to get into some good music and just not really, dive, I don't know how to say it, but just listen to it and enjoy it, while having a drink or doing something. This is a great record. I love it. This is what I do for that. But if I just sit there and really pay attention, then I start thinking about that crowd again, and that's more of a mental thing for me, that because it's an annoyance and I want it crisp and clean. But when most people, when they saw these groups, they didn't see them like, they saw them or they heard them just like this. It sounded just like that. And it's just like when you go see a group in a concert or something. I mean, you're not hearing the pristine recordings of them. You're hearing them live, and the mistakes and the crowd and the noise and the sound system that's maybe not quite right. And it still makes for a great entertainment experience, and I love it. So Lester Young, which is like definitely one of these areas or group that I am going to expand in. So at the same place, I got a couple more records there. I've been looking for some Paul Motion here lately. Not exactly the one that I'd want to find, but so if you're familiar with this record, it's Paul Motion Trio and it's Dance. And how much did I pay for this one? $6. It's another really good. This is on ECM. I mean, ECM's got some good stuff out there, and it's not real expensive, so you can find it. Paul Motion Trio. If you're not familiar, I mean, that's a really good group. They got some real talent in the. Let's see who's in here. That's Paul Motion is on drums and percussion. David Zenzen, is that how you say that? David Zenzen bass. Charles Breckine soprano and tenor saxophone. But if you were wanting to get into jazz, I mean, you can look up this individual, but this probably wouldn't be the first album I would try if you're not really into. If you're just dipping your toe into jazz, this probably would not be the one I would go with. Just due to the fact of this is more on the free jazz side, so it is all over the place. So, but if you like that, this is a great album, and it's not that expensive. At least not this one, not on ECM anyway. Paul Motion, I love it. But you have to be in the right. You have to be in the right kind of mood to listen to this. Otherwise, you're just going to pick up something to throw. It's like, shut up. I can't do it. It's like, I cannot listen to this all the time. I mean, that's like, there definitely is mood, music, especially jazz to me goes with what kind of mood I'm in. And there's just certain kinds that if I'm not in the right mood, there's just no, I mean, I can't do it. Maybe a song or two, but. And okay, so here's I broke the rule in the vinyl community. I'm gonna irritate some of you people, but that's okay. I have to get something here that's gonna go with this. Sorry, I'm back. Sorry for my poor prep work, but that's me. No notes, no prep, no basic research. Just throw the crap out there and see what sticks. I don't really care. It's just my music I like, and if you don't like it, well, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Well, it does, but not really. So, okay, got Ahmad Jamal here. Okay, now this would be somebody I would recommend to anybody who wants to get into jazz. Ahmad Jamal, pretty much anything that I've listened to has been really good. This is some great jazz music, and this is hey baby, got some music, why don't you come on over? That kind of jazz, okay? Especially this album. This is make-out jazz. A glass of wine and cute girl and gonna have a party. But you'll notice, for those that are familiar with this album, if you look at it, that is not how this album comes. Okay? Let's open it up. There's the fella right there. See it? Yes, I taped it. I paid this album, this was, what was it? $4. But, this was... Every seam in here that could have come apart was completely apart. So this gatefold is basically, each half is a straight sheet of cardboard that's folded in half and then it's taped on the edge. So there's no seam here, it's just cardboard that's folded. And the first few times I dropped the record, I'm like, okay, this is just not gonna work. And if you look at it, this is not a pristine copy. I mean, it's got water damage and it's all faded all the way around. I don't know if that's how it's, I seriously doubt it, but, and the jacket itself is like cardboard with like some kind of fancy, it almost looks like, papyrus, like it's got a texture to it, paper glued on top of it, and a nice embossing, which, by the way, that embossing is on the inside too, which is really neat. And so I mean, and this is, it's just one of those deals. I can't have that. I mean, I want to be able to look at it without, pieces of paper falling off and just, dropping things. And every time I pull it out, I have to cradle it like a little baby to get somewhere so I don't drop everything. So I said, I'm taping it. Now, I know there's so many that are like, oh my God, you put tape on it. This is not ordinary tape. It's not masking tape. It's not Scotch tape. It's not duct tape. It is library bookbinding tape. Okay, I actually have a buddy that works in the library that told me about this. He said, hey, get this. That's what they use all the time. And so I did. I got, for the records that are just beyond whatever, and I want to keep them together, I got two. I got a black and a white. And it's just, on it, it's just a book guard. This is what this brand is. And it's kind of like a fabric, and the glue on there, or whatever, I don't know what it is, it holds pretty well and doesn't really come off. Now, granted, if you peel it off, you're going to ruin it. But this was already ruined, and it wasn't just like it was torn, but it was like the top paper was pulled back, and it just looked, it was terrible. So I taped the whole thing, I taped each individual one up, and then I taped them together. So, anyway, I broke a rule, and I don't care. It works for me. But back to this album. I mean, this, man, if you don't have this, go find it. It's cheap. You can find it all over for, it's definitely under a $10 record. And this is so good. Especially, like I said, it's like, hey, come on over. That's that kind of jazz. Ahmad Jamal. I mean, it's just, that's just your, if you're gonna start a jazz collection, you're gonna have at least one of his in there. The thing about this gatefold is like there's a bend in it, and I probably should have flattened it, taken that bend out, or pressed, or somehow, because I have a hard time getting that in there, and it's not due to the tape, because there's like a bend in the actual cardboard there. Ahmad Jamal, go ahead, pick it up, man. This is, especially this one. I mean, there's others on there that he's in, and those are good too. But I mean, this one is like all over for cheap, and it's just good standard stuff. It's nothing, nothing like this at all. I mean, if you don't know jazz and you end up with this one, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things. Some people like psych rock, and some people don't, and some people that want to get in. If you get the wrong psych record, you're probably not gonna, like it. Speaking of psych, and this is the same place. When I first picked this up, I didn't really look at the name. I just looked at the album cover, and you think this is a psych album? I guess kind of it is. But that Sergio Mendes trio, so nice. This is like, I don't know, bossa nova type. It's like bossa nova disco. But it was cheap. It's actually pretty good, but it's just like, I don't know. This one was only 50 cents, so I thought I'd try it out. I'm not sure about that one yet. It's just kind of weird. Then the other one, and this one and the next record, I classify. I have my own. I'm coming up with my own new genre for this type of music, which I'm gonna call it Dirty Harry restaurant music. Okay, and if you've seen the Dirty Harry, I think it was like the second one. Well, anyway, where he's taking the, I think she's like a reporter or whatever, but anyway, he has his date, and they're going to the restaurant, and they walk through, and then there's all that funky jazz going on in the background that's got the flute player, and it's just like jazz on the verge of being disco, that 70s kind of like, I don't know. That's what I classify this as. It's Dirty Harry restaurant music. You can go ahead and use that, by the way, if you want to. But it's actually pretty, I like it. It's just, and then this is how pretty much I classify all of Herbie Mann's music. There's like, one time I was at a record store. This is actually pretty good too. But, oh, hey, I'm going to have to do some repairs on this one too. Oh no. But this one is pretty straightforward because it's got the paper, you see that the glue on paper. So this will I'll just glue that with regular glue, some decent glue, and nobody will ever know. But I am not a big Herbie Mann fan, just because that, I don't know. I just, too much of it sounds like Dirty Harry restaurant music to me. I remember one time I was at a thrift store picking, and there's like 3 Herbie Mann albums on it. It's the one that's got his all his crazy hair, and then another one he's not like wearing a shirt on front. It's like a big gatefold album, and I've seen them there before, and it's just like I didn't, wasn't for me. I wasn't looking for that. So I was sitting there looking through. They have all their records piled up in this one shelf, and there's some young guy, and I had these Herbie Manns were sitting right there, and then I had my stack right here that I was going through, and he's like, oh, I'm going by looking. He goes, oh, Herbie Mann. It's like, and then he just sitting there waiting. He was looking, and he'd come by every once in a while, see who I was done. And I was just going really slow. Just look at all the records. You know, and I was on a mission that day. I was looking for, because they had a whole bunch of rock, like REO Speedwagons and Autograph and some, and that's what I was after that day. So I wanted to make sure I got them all out of there. And there's like about 10 different rock and roll albums, and that's all I was looking for. I saw the Herbie Man, but I was gonna leave him there. But he's like kept coming by waiting, and I was like, he's like, oh, do you mind if, are you gonna get those? I'm like, no. And he goes, and he just zooms in, grabs those Herbie Mans, and yanks them out of there, and he's like, oh, I've been looking all over. This is so cool. And then off he goes. And it's like, well, I'm glad you're happy. But I had no interest in it. But this is pretty good. But I'm gonna throw this into the Dirty Harry restaurant music group. But it's still good stuff. I like it. That's probably about the only Herbie Man one I'll probably get. And just, let's see. I got one more here to show for today. Then we'll call it quits. But so this record store I was telling about, they had their jazz section has a lot of stuff in it that I don't think is jazz. I mean, and I'm familiar with this group and this album, but for $3 I thought, oh, what the heck, I'm gonna buy it. And for those of you that know, this is called A Fifth of Beethoven, the Walter Murphy Band. And if you don't know this album, this is like disco Beethoven. It's not jazz. It's like disco Beethoven. So you think oh my gosh. I mean, if you know any of the Beethoven music, I mean, you just do it, take away the strings and do synthesizers and 1970s disco sound to it, and that's what you have. So it's pretty cool, and it's just one of those things that every once in a while, if I want to freak people out, and it's like, I'll put that on. It's like, it's awesome. But anyway, I had to get it, because if you don't have one of these, you need to have one in your collection. It's just fun. But it is like straight up Beethoven disco. And why it's in the jazz, I guess disco could be considered jazz, but I don't know. It's just one of those things. So I picked it up and added it to my jazz collection, and my record ran out, so it means I'm talking a lot. I'm just gonna show one more thing, and then I'm out of here. So at that thrift store, I always go by the book section, and I came across the Frank Sinatra book. I think this was actually put out by his daughter, or she, helped, get it together. American Legend, 1915 to 1998, Frank Sinatra. And it's a nice, really nice book. Look at this. I mean, it's nice hardback. Great photos in here. I just started reading a little bit. I only got a few pages in, but man, this is going to be an interesting read, because I love Frank Sinatra. I only have one actual vinyl. Most of what I have from Frank is on CD. I've got dozens of CDs. It says $4.98. I didn't pay that. I paid half of that, so I guess it's like $2.50, something like that. Good book. So anyway, just a quick see ya. Just want to show you some jazz records and some not jazz records that claimed they were jazz records, but not. And then introduce you to my Dirty Harry restaurant music genre. You guys can go ahead and start using that term if you want. I don't know what else to call it. Anyway, have a good day. Today's Monday. Actually Tuesday for me. I work Sunday through Thursday. So hope you have a good week. See you next time.